Cybertruck time is almost upon us, but my friends, I have bad news for you. It is all doom and gloom. Everything is going wrong. Don't you see? Can't you see? The sky is truly falling. So Chicken Little here, checking in with you, but I've got my good friend Randy Kirk with me. He's going to give us the skinny on what's really going on. Maybe he'll talk me back from this ledge. I'm Chicken Little. Welcome to my Tesla Weekend.
Oh, that was a really good intro.
Cybertruck's doomed, Randy. It's doomed. I don't know if you've seen recent pictures on X, but there's panel gaps. Have you seen them?
Panel gaps. Oh,
panel gaps.
What are we going to do about that?
Well, my first question is, do you think that the ones we've seen are the final ones?
The final panel gaps?
The final production vehicles with the final production gap.
Well,
the ones we have seen, like the one in matte black that Franz was driving, had significant panel gaps. Do you think that that's a final production caliber vehicle?
I have no idea, but if it has panel gaps, my guess would be no.
And do you think people care?
Well, okay. We know that people were buying $90,000, $100,000, $110,000, $120,000 vehicles from Tesla in the beginning that were not as well finished as a Mercedes, but they wanted them anyway. So I think that in the case of the Cybertruck, the want is much bigger than any other want that there's ever been on a Tesla vehicle. This is going to be a way bigger one than even the Roadster. Now, the new Roadster that's supposed to have, jet packs and go 0 to 60 in 1 second, that might have a higher one. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So unprofessional.
This
is the panel gaps that I'm talking about.
I only get one call a year. It has to be on your show.
I tell you, I bring on a panel gap.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, I think that you make a great point.
I think that the ones we've seen are probably not the ones that we're going to see on delivery day. And I think even if they are, buyers ain't going to care.
Yeah.
Ain't going to care. I've seen videos of, there's a shop that when you buy your expensive car, you bring it in and they straighten it. Wow. They make it nice. And the shop was showing, I don't remember if it was a McLaren, but some $1 million car. And he was showing how, oh, look, when you open this door, it rubs the paint. It's $1 million car.
Wow.
But it's because it's a hand-built, limited edition kind of thing. And they're like, okay, we can fix this. Here's the next reason it's doomed, Randy. I hope you're prepared. It's going to be too expensive.
Yes, it will.
Well, you can't sell 2 million of them if they're $130,000.
Absolutely true. And I don't know where Kramer got his number. Well, I think I do. There was one tweet. Well, I'm sorry, could it be called a tweet anymore? There was one post on X that showed somebody claiming that they had gotten their opportunity to buy one, and that it was 99,900 and whatever. And it was immediately trashed by the X community. And since not another single soul has been offered their opportunity to buy a Cybertruck yet, I have to believe that number was incorrect.
But what if it is 100,000 at launch?
Well, if it is 100,000 at launch, there will be probably, I'm going to guess, 30, 40,000 people, maybe even 50,000 people that they wouldn't even blink.
Wouldn't even blink. Absolutely.
In fact, it's probable that some people who buy them for 80,000, if they choose to, will be able to flip them immediately for over 100,000.
For sure.
Yes.
And what I pointed out is there's millions of reservations.
Yes.
If there's a 90% attrition rate on those reservations, that's still 200,000 units. It's going to take them 18 months optimistically to sell that many cars, to build that many cars, right, during which time the price will fall, as it always does. Launch Edition 3 was higher. Launch Edition Y was higher. And then we saw the prices normalize. And the Plaid and the X, my gosh, did those start out real ambitious in their pricing. So I don't know. Another reason it's doomed, Randy, I don't know if you heard this, they're not going to be able to build it. Haven't you heard? They can't build it. It's too complicated. They can't ramp. Sure, they can build some, but they won't be able to ramp.
Well, if I were to claim that I know the answer to that question, other than to speculate that their engineers, some of the best, not some of the best, I'm sorry, the best in the world, they get the cream of the crop every year from the universities. The number one place people want to go to work as engineers when they graduate is either SpaceX or Tesla, and they switch back and forth on the survey each year. So these top engineers probably would have let Elon know at some point.
You know, the X was a very complicated vehicle to build.
Yes.
And they were still able to ramp that to 1,000 a week, which is what the line could handle and what demand would handle. Within, a year? They got to maximum output on one of the most complicated designs, at least in egress, we've seen in automotive history.
Yeah.
So I don't think how complicated it is necessarily going to do it. But I don't know if you know this, but Cybertruck is still doomed because a production line of only 200,000, that's not enough, Randy. You know, they sell like 1 million F-150s.
Yes. So I think a production line of 200,000 is not going to be enough. I would agree with them 100,000%. And I remember Elon saying a couple of years ago that he thought they would sell 500,000 of them. So I suspect, this is a total suspicion, just a guess, that they have all kinds of planned executions based on what happens in the first 6 months, 8 months as they're beginning to ship them. They'll see what the numbers look like. They'll see what they have to, if they have to lower prices or raise prices, because I think there's a good chance they'll have to raise prices. They might come in, maybe the first 20,000 or 100,000 each, and then the next 20,000 are 69,420, which is the high. Most people feel that's the number it'll be. And then all of a sudden, people are flipping them, and you know what Elon's going to do? If people start flipping them, he is going to raise the price. So,
of course. And I think 200,000 is the number you tell investors, so that if for some reason there are delays or the batteries aren't ready or demand isn't quite as strong, I think 200,000 is a sandbag number. I think it's a very easy number. And I was in a little discussion with a gentleman on X this morning who was saying, right, but Elon doesn't sandbag numbers. And I said, doesn't he? Because the numbers that they've been posting for Shanghai as capacity for years have been sandbagged. Yes. They were still saying production capacity over 450,000 when they were cranking out 70,000 a month.
Right.
So they finally had to update that to something more realistic. And I think they only changed it to 850 when they were already over 1 million. Yes. And so I think the 200,000 number is low. I think, like you said, they will see, do we have enough batteries? Do we have enough stainless? Because it is very nickel intensive, and you have to have, the foundry has to be able to keep up. They will have, they will know what they've got and how they can ramp it. And especially if they're able to reduce prices in the ways that we hope and believe they will, that will continue to increase demand. And as they lower the price, they should be able to sell as many as they make for at least years. I don't think you will be able to order one and get it the same day or even the same week for years. Yes. Unless for some reason it was somebody's reservation fell through, like their financing fell through at the last minute. Those sometimes happen. But if you're ordering a custom car, no, it's going to be a while. You're going to wait. Those are some of the great and very real reasons why it's doomed. Have you heard any others that I'm missing?
I can't think of any other reasons that I've heard why it's doomed. I have had a question, which I know it's your show, but I'm interviewing you. I'm ready. But this coding that they're talking about. So we have the wrap, which I think the wraps are going to sell like crazy. Mm-hmm. But now they're talking about some kind of a high-tech coating, and they're thinking that there was this black version over the weekend which everybody went nuts over, except for maybe 10% who hated it. But there was a big bunch of folks that said, I love that. I think that one looks great. But then people were saying they thought that was not a wrap, that it might have been some kind of a coating. Any thoughts from your understanding?
Sure. It's a wrap. There were people who actually were criticizing the quality of the wrap and saying that some of the seams weren't quite as good as they should have been, considering it's a showpiece. Elon had mentioned something about a diamond coating, something that would make it even more resistant to scratches. But I'm not familiar with that process.
Okay.
The only treatments I'm aware of for stainless are all ones that would have to be done before it's attached, before all the pieces are attached. Mm-hmm. And those are fickle. Those are complicated. And, a good example is there are a lot of treatments you can do to stainless to change the color. But good luck repairing it. You will never in a million years get it to match again if even scratches are incurred. So I don't know that that's going to be coming. The wraps, though, and I've been saying this since the very beginning, is they're going to go on so quickly because it's going to be 6 different workers that swarm in. They've each got one section to do, and it's out the door. Now, at the beginning, at least, that's going to be handled by the service centers, which is interesting, but they can do the same procedure where, okay, guys, we have a truck to wrap. Great. After lunch, we'll swarm it, and they'll swarm it, and 30 minutes later, it's done.
Wow.
And because you only have to do the hood. You're the hood guy.
Yeah.
And everybody does their own separate part. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. I think it's very strange that they've restricted themselves to a very small number of colors, but that's something that's very easy to expand in the future.
Of course.
Yeah. So I don't think the one we saw.
Because I know on yours you have a very specific color in mind. It was fuchsia. Is it?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking like a fuchsia plaid, of course, because
yes, of course.
Because a tartan design like that is not the worst idea I've ever heard, Randy Kirk. I would like to say a big thanks to Randy Kirk for joining us and sharing what I can only describe as his insights, I guess. And in the comments, Cybertruck, doomed or not, the worst idea you've ever seen, the flop of the century. And if you do go through the comments and you see people saying it is the flop of the century, maybe politely share with them reasons why you disagree. Because that's always fun too. So for everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual things. And if you don't have time to do that, maybe you can just stay tuned, stay juicy. And remember that I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots on the Flippity Flop.